Of course, I wouldn't dream of calling Martin Bashir a scoundrel. But if he were a scoundrel, then racism would be his last refuge. Oops! Martin Bashir blamed racism for Princess Diana interview fallout. Why am I not surprised? I'm Graniopteryx. I'm interrupting to remind you to click like and to subscribe and share. Also, I'm constantly being told that YouTube removes subscriptions. So please click the notification bell and check that you really are subscribed. All the links to my other channels are in the description, including links to donation sites. I'm always grateful, of course, for donations, but simply clicking like is the best thing you can do for this video and my channel generally. Thank you. To recap, Martin Bashir, this chap here, who was a relatively unknown low-level TV journalist when he got what was thought of as the scoop of the century, an interview with Princess Diana, and everybody wondered how he did that. They couldn't understand why she would let somebody as unknown as him have a direct and secret interview. Well, he did it the following way. He got access to Princess Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, whose first name, by the way, is Charles. That brings up a whole lot of psychology, doesn't it? Moving swiftly on, Bashir got access to Spencer by waving a lot of forged documents under his nose that proved Diana's closest circle of friends and servants were in the pay of one or several newspapers and were spying on her. Spencer immediately told his sister to talk to Bashir, and as they say, the rest, you know. The BBC covered this up for years, but it finally did come out, having wrecked more lives than we could possibly calculate. Several of the people surrounding Diana had their reputations wrecked. Some of them lost their jobs, and Diana herself was being driven into the irrationality of mental illness. And the first thing I saw this morning was this headline. In a staggering display of bald-faced cheek, Bashir emailed Robert Setter in 2020. Mr. Bashir emailed Robert Setter, the BBC's head of history, in July 2020, dismissing what he described as this so-called forgery story, after documentary maker Andy Webb submitted a Freedom of Information request to the corporation about how the interview was secured. And Bashir said the reason the story had finally got out was because the panjandrums in the BBC had been jealous that it wasn't the white and established Dimbleby TV dynasty who'd got the story. Let's have a look down here. At the time, he says in his email, it was also apparent that there was some irritation that a second-generation immigrant of non-white working-class roots should have the temerity to enter a royal palace and conduct an interview. It would have been much easier if one of the dynastic families, Dimbleby et al., had done it. He could be saying that the Dimblebys are as dishonest and manipulated as he is, and that he just happened to pick them to the post. But seeing as he uses the expression, this so-called forgery story, it's more likely it means that he has completely blocked from his mind the absolute fact that he had documents forged to prove honest people surrounding Diana were a set of complete rats. And he brings up his second-generation immigrant roots. I have to add, by the way, that what astonishing lack of self-awareness. Well, of course, he fit well into the BBC ethos because I've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and I have to tell the newbies that I used to work for the BBC. And I was surrounded by people who were astonishingly unself-aware and who did the most appalling things. I didn't last long. I didn't last long. And who seemed to have this sort of sliding morality. I just couldn't get along with it. I mean, they ditched me. I didn't walk out. I thought there was something wrong with me. That's another matter. Now, I'm just going to tell you what fascinates me about this whole story. It's being carried in the Telegraph. And so, as I normally do, I look to see who else is carrying it because I like to check on my sources. And here, this is what I found. LBC is carrying the story. The Telegraph is carrying the story. The Hertfordshire Advertiser is carrying the story. The Daily Mail is carrying the story. And again, a New Zealand newspaper. And of course, Twitter, but that's the Telegraph again. And a couple of blogs. The Guardian, the Daily Mail. Not a bit of it. Now, could this possibly have something to do with the fact that left-wing papers like The Guardian and The Mail don't like to run stories about people from ethnic minorities pleading ethnic minority status to excuse bad behaviour? Just a thought. All right, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.